Alright, this is Final Draft, and I'm here with...
DustyKatt.
Welcome!
Thank you very much.
Let me first begin by introducing you to fans who may have not heard of you. DustyKatt here is the manliest brony in the world. Isn't that right?
As I've been told, and as my videos say.
So I wanted to first ask you a basic question, which is, where does the name DustyKatt Rhodes come from?
Well, my real last name is Rhodes, and my real first name is, well, my real nickname first name is Dusty. So I came from Michigan, and I always had a personal aficionation for bobcats and lynxes. I just took that persona name, if you want to take it. I've been DustyKatt as a nickname for probably about 20 years now.
So did you come up with that name for an earlier fandom, or is this a pseudonym that you came up with for something else?
Earlier fandom, internet type of persona, because back in the days when I got in the internet, there was no such thing as a World Wide Web.
Some of us are old enough to remember those days of Yahoo being king.
Yahoo was king. You had nothing but news groups. You had muck and mushes, and I was actually interneting on an Amiga 1000.
That's actually still pretty cool. I wish I had one of those just to put up on a shelf.
Yeah, they were pretty neat. Actually, if you took the cover off the box, the inside was signed by everybody who worked on the project.
Oh, wow. As a Lycos chat veteran myself, I was going to ask, so what fandoms were there back then that you could use your name with?
All the science fiction fandoms that were going on at the time, actually. I was big into sci-fi at the time.
Is there a specific show or book series or something that you started off your nerddom online with?
Well, I'm not sure anybody would get it, but C.J. Cherryh was doing the Shanur series of books, which got me into early. And then when I was a kid, of course, the original Star Wars came out, and I watched all of that. But when I was a very young cat, the Detroit afternoon when I got home from elementary school was Kimba the White Lion, which was Jungle Emperor from Japan. Mm-hmm. And then you had Speed Racer, which was Mach Go Go Go. And then you had Battle of the Planets, which was Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. So that was basically back to back to back.
Yeah, well, and Kimba has really been growing in popularity since then as well. It's reaching a lot of new audiences. So would you say then that you had an early experience with anime and that kind of subculture?
Yeah, I look back on it today, and I was probably one of the very first generation of kids that was brought up on Japanese animation when they basically redubbed everything and brought it over to Japan back in the early 70s, mid 70s. So I saw a lot of that stuff all the way through Voltron and a lot of that era. And then I ended up going to college and sort of losing out on it. But I still love Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. I still have a lot of the DVDs.
Well, do you keep up on any anime programs right now? I mean, are there any specific shows, aside from a certain show about, I don't know, colorful ponies or something, that you keep up with? I mean, are you active within the anime community?
Actually, I'm not active with it right now, but I do have a niece who's graduating high school this year. Oh, God, I'm old. Who's actually a huge Bleach fan.
Ah.
I am the only one in our family she can talk with. So it's really great talking with her on Facebook about Bleach and some other anime.
Well, and they're up to like 300, 400 episodes now, aren't they?
I think so, last time I checked.
Going back to your beginnings with, and I tremble to use the word nerd because I am speaking to the manliest brony in the world. But going back to the beginnings of your nerddom, as it were, how did you come into being a part of that nerdy, geeky subculture, given your macho biker persona?
Here's a secret that nobody knows.
Oh my.
I was that oversized, oversensitive, picked on kid.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah, but it started with me in grade school, worked all the way through junior high. Then I got a growth spurt and started playing football and basketball and baseball, and it pretty much calmed down at that point, and I started learning a bit more about how I could deal with it as a young man. But when I was in grade school and junior high, it was pretty damn bad.
Would you say that your experiences back then as a younger introvert shaped your perspective on the kinds of shows and the kinds of things you participated in later?
I think it did, because I turned more to books, I turned more to TV shows, I turned more into my own imagination. I took up drawing very early, 10, 11, 12. I was drawing motorcycles and cars and stuff I found in comic books. So I turned more into myself and more into my own creativity to basically get away from what was going on, and it made me more creative in the end. When I was in high school, for our high school, we didn't do floats for the prom, so we actually painted the windows inside the school with different things. So basically all my friends came to me and said, "You're the artist, here, come up with some themes." And it was rock and roll, so I drew up a bunch of stuff that the senior class could paint on the windows. We ended up winning the competition.
Are you really involved with visual arts as well?
Yeah, I've actually done a lot of drawing in my life, and I've had actually national release comic book pages back in the mid-90s.
Which comics have you been featured in?
I had 4, 5, or 6, I think it was 6 pages in some Antarctic Press anthologies. I think it was 95 and 96.
Well, okay, so then going back as well to the age of the 80s and the 90s, which some of us do remember, I wanted to ask you, since you've got that perspective of having participated in multiple fandoms over a few decades here, which is nothing to be ashamed of, my question for you is, how does this fandom compare to those other fandoms or other subcultures that you've participated in?
I would have to say that this fandom has been hyper sped up. It began, it had its maturation, it's had its problems, and it's gotten to this point much faster than any other fandom I've been in. I mean, it's just gone from A to Z. Actually, I think we're into W's now. But anyway, from beginning to where we are now has been completely with the throttle on the floor in 5th gear. I mean, it's been going fast.
Do you see an arc of fandoms, like a certain path they all seem to follow then?
There are certain paths, if you look back on certain fandoms, like the vampire fandom or this fandom or a couple of fandoms, you have everybody gets into it, la 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 la, everything's great. It gains a huge number of people really fast because of the internet. Then you get certain sub-genres within the fandom. Some people like this, some people like that, and then they start arguing between each other and trying to tear each other apart, and then they turn their backs on each other and everybody's fine for a while.
Well, and it does seem like that's all kind of happened within the last 12 months with My Little Pony, hasn't it?
That it has. I'm glad to see that a lot of people are taking love and tolerance to heart, as it were. And I always try to tell people, it's like, look, the only way that anything can actually affect you is if you let it affect you. It takes some responsibility for your own happiness. If you don't like it, you don't have to participate in that particular part of the fandom. If it doesn't make you happy, don't do it. If you want to do this part of the fandom over here, go do that and be happy.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to ask you, actually, going back a little bit again, how did you get into My Little Pony? Where did you hear about it? How did you stumble across it?
This is actually a pretty interesting story. I had to take a job in Carson City, Nevada. I moved from San Jose, California to Carson City to take a job. This was before My Little Pony came on. And what happened was I missed my friends here in San Jose. And my current roommate, Caradwin, was running an Advanced Dungeons & Dragons campaign, which I was a part of. So I would drive back and forth once a month so that we could have our game. And one month he said, here, sit down. You need to watch this show. I said, what show? My Little Pony. You need to watch this show. It's like, what? I need to watch what? And he said, no, My Little Pony. Just trust me. You're going to love it. And we've been friends for 20 years. He knows my taste, and we've been in the fandoms together. He said, you need to watch this. Okay, so we did. Sat down, popped a cool drink to watch the premiere. That's like the 2-part premiere. And by the end of the 2-part premiere, Nightmare Moon, I said, you know what? I'll give it a chance. We'll watch a couple more. And by the time Sonic Rainboom came on, hooked, done.
Yeah, that was kind of what happened with me as well. I saw the first episode as an experiment, and it's that cliffhanger. So you got to watch the second one. And then you have to watch the third one to make sure that it's still a decent show. Yeah. And then the fourth, and then the 17th.
And then Rarity throws herself on the back of her bed and says, oh, I'm so pathetic. And that was it.
It's funny, for me, the moment I realized I was a brony, like that it was just done, was when Pinkie Pie, when Rarity is in the boutique and Pinkie Pie says she's going to become some crazy cat lady, and they say, well, no, she's not, and she goes, give her time, and I paused the video at that moment. I just kind of hung my head in resignation. I said, damn it.
Yeah, that was about it. It's like, she only has one cat. Give her time.
That's it. Yep, that's the line. And it was at that moment I realized, wow, I better come to terms with this.
I never had to actually, quote unquote, come to terms with it. I was like, okay, I like a show. Okay, it doesn't matter that it's My Little Pony. It doesn't matter that it was made for 7 to 12-year-old girls. I don't really care. It just happens to be good animation, well written, well acted, with great music. That's all it ever was and all it ever is. I don't really care about societal norms of what I'm supposed to be watching because I'm a 44-year-old man. Guess what? I watch motorcycle shows. I watch OCC. I watch overhauling for cars. I have all the magazines. I actually build Harley Davidson motorcycles. Guess what? I watch My Little Pony, and I don't really care.
Well, and I think that's a good attitude to have anyway. And when I said I hung my head in resignation, it's more or less just, it was surprising for me, not that I wasn't expecting to possibly enjoy the show. I was surprised at how high of quality it was. And I think that's where it was like, it had broken preconceptions. You say you watch OCC. Is that mustache of yours a take on Paul Sr. then?
Oh, no. The mustache has its own story.
Well, please elaborate.
I grew up in Michigan, and my entire family is a bunch of people who hunt animals. Mostly deer. Delicious deer. So we hunt all the seasons. We hunt bow, we hunt rifle, we hunt black powder. Of course, during the fall, it goes from October, November, December, January. So black powder season's in January, and in Michigan, it gets darn cold. So we all grow beards, and we go out and we sit in blinds with snow coming down on our guns and waiting for a deer to come back so we can have some tasty deer. So come February, middle of February, I've got this Grizzly Adams going on. And this is 1980, 87 or 88. And I'm thinking, if there's any time I can do this, it's going to be now. Because all I have to do is shave it in and it'll look okay. You know, I don't have to grow this stubbly thing. So I spend about an hour trimming, cutting, shaving upstairs at my parents' house. And I come walking down the stairs. And this is an 1850s house, 1860s house. So the stairs are very steep. And as I'm walking down the stairs, my little brother, John, is watching TV. And as I come down the stairs, I don't even make the bottom of the stairs. He looks up at me and he says, "Dusty, you look absolutely evil." And to swear to God, it hasn't been off since.
As a Midwestern bearded brony myself, I know what you're talking about. Once it's on there, it's hard to get rid of, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, once it was on there, it was like, okay, I'm going to wear this for a while. And then my high school friends went, "Holy wow." And at that time, I was wearing long hair, too. So I had the long hair, I had the mustache, and it was just, the look just never changed. It was like, "You're going to do this for a while, aren't you?" "Yeah, I'm going to do this for a while." And it's been, over 20 years now.
Okay, so one other question I had for you about your past, kind of tying into what you've been doing a lot recently. You've been releasing a lot of music covers, and my question is, what is your history with performing music? I mean, it seems that you really enjoy doing it. Do you do it just recreationally, or do you have a past of being in a band?
My experience with singing started in junior high school. In 8th grade, the school brought in a choir teacher. At that time, you got to select your own classes. So I'm sitting there going, what am I going to put down for my third elective? I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. I just put on choir. I'll never get it. Yeah. So the choir teacher took everybody who put choir on as an elective. Everybody. So there was 60 kids in this choir. 60. Okay? And there was 5 guys. 5. And I was the only bass voice out of the 5. And I stuck out like a sore thumb. But when she bought music, she had to write me bass parts because I could not sing anywhere higher than that. So I ended up in any of the 4-part harmony leads. You know, it was always me. So that's where I started with performing, because we did a couple of shows in the wintertime. At the beginning, I was terrified of singing. You know, I only did it for the 1 year. And then I'm graduating high school, and then karaoke hit. And the karaoke thing came over from Japan, and all of a sudden, all these bars had karaoke. All the bars had karaoke. So I was thinking to myself, I'll just go to the bar and I'll sing some, and a couple of songs I like. And I started doing some songs really good, and I had a good time. And I kept going to the same bars, and these same people were running the shows. So they were bringing the machine, and then they'd do the thing for the bar, and they'd leave. And we struck up conversations, you know, the people who owned the company. And finally they said, "Hey, we're going to buy a couple of more machines. Do you want a job?" I said, "What? Sing for a living? What?" I said, no, it's not going to be that much money, but I'll pay you $50 cash to basically show up at a bar, set up the machine, run the show, put our money in the machine, take your $50 and split. I went, yeah, twist my arm. I was like, sure, why not? So I did that like 3 nights a week, made an extra $150 a week, singing and drinking beer. So, yeah, twist my arm. So I got a lot better. Obviously, the more you sing, the better you get. So I ended up doing that for a year and a half. Made a good chunk of money. Took my very first trip to California on that money. And with a truck, drove out for a convention and then drove back. and had a great time doing it. Basically, I've done karaoke off and on for the last 15 years, just having a great time. I go to a bar, have a beer, sing with my friends, and just have a good time.
I remember when I was watching the show, when I was going through the first season, and it sounds like you did the same thing I did, that when I got to Winter Wrap-Up, that was the first really major song in the show, I think. I mean, there was the Giggle at the Ghosty song in the first episode, but for a lot of people, when they watch the first episodes, they're trying to acclimate to the show. By the time you get to Winter Wrap-Up, they've already kind of acclimated. When you saw that, did you immediately think, I could sing a Daniel Ingram song?
Actually, I have never thought I was good enough to sing a Daniel Ingram song. Never thought I was good enough. Winter Wrap-Up is a really, really difficult song.
It's not really for bassists, is it?
It's not really for bassists, trust me. I'd sing backup in it, with the show and have fun, but I never really thought I could sing that song. But then he put out the whole challenge of becoming popular. Here, challenge. Do it live. Do it live. So I went, I could do that, but right now my voice is pretty froggy because I have a cold. All of a sudden, a couple of other Brony artists did it, and they did a great job, loved it, and went, the time is slipping away. I need to do this. Finally, I just broke down and said, okay, I'm going to do it as best I can with the voice I have. And I recorded it and threw it up. And all of a sudden, it's like all these people went, he's not going to, whoa. He can sing. Oh my God. I didn't think I did all that great a job. And all of a sudden I got all these people going, oh, you need to sing more. You need to sing more. Oh my, you need to sing more. It's like, okay then. Let me see what else I can do. And I just started doing weird lyrics to classic rock, and it seems to have taken off.
And I think that that's a real sign of the fandom, that kind of a reaction. It seems that really this fandom is so supportive of people pursuing creative things like that. And it's one of the reasons why I stick with this fandom, because it's just so positive and so supportive. And I mean, it seems like you've been really getting a lot of that as well.
Oh, yeah. I really love the creative comments that I get. I mean, some people say, well, you didn't quite hit that note. Well, I know, I'm still trying and doing the best thing I can. And there hasn't been a lot of nastiness. You get your YouTube trolls, and we all take our YouTube trolls with a big hammer. But some of the people have given me really good, creative, constructive criticism. Denotive and some of the guys have really taken me under their wing and said, dude, you need to do this, and you do this. I didn't actually know how to compress my vocals until I talked to Denotive. I mean, the first couple songs I put up were basically plain dry vocals. Now that I can actually mix, it's so much better. But I didn't know how to do any of that until some of these guys took me under the wing and say, hey, Dusty, you need to be doing some of this stuff. Love all those guys and want to thank them all for their help.
Well, it seems like the Brony musicians really do stick together. I mean, they are a group of friends, and they're really welcoming.
Yeah, they really brought me in and ribbed me like anybody else. I mean, it's like, hey, dude, I come in and they give me hell. But it's just a great big group of guys who want everybody to make better music. So if somebody does a riff or somebody does half a song, they say, here, guys, listen to that. And they'll go, well, you could have done this here, you could have done that there. Why don't you do this? And everybody's music gets better. And it's really the kind of thing we used to have back in the 80s. I was a part of what was called an amateur press association, which was a group of 30 or 40 people that would do drawings or writings or anything, and they'd send their little packet to the central mailer, and they'd bind it all together and send it back out to the membership. And once every 4 months or 3 months, you'd get this packet in the mail, and you would read everybody else's stuff, and you'd comment on it, and you'd send that with your next submission, and everybody used to get their comments to each other and make each other better. Now we're doing it live. We're doing it live on the internet, when it used to take 3 months to get anything back from anybody. It's basically condensed the type of feedback you can get on what you're doing.
Well, and it does seem like among the musicians and even among the artists and the fanfic writers that there's just an absolute plethora of collaborations happening all the time. Are you working on any collaborations right now with any artists?
If I told you that, I'd have to kill you.
Oh, yeah, I've been told that before. Well, you've since released more songs than just becoming popular. I just watched your video of Smile, 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 which I have to say was downright hilarious, and I kind of wanted to go into this as well. You've been releasing a lot of stylized films lately, and I wanted to know what was your original inspiration to make those, and what has been your general reaction from the fans about these short films you've been putting up on YouTube?
The reaction has been awesome. Actually, its reaction's been better than I'd hoped. I am only so good of a singer, and I understand that, and I keep thinking I need to bring something else to the fandom. I need to bring some comedy, a little bit of flair. I don't know if you could call it that. Panache. Yes, the panache. But I used to do these kind of things with other fandoms. A little bit of stage work, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of video that we would do for other conventions. So I have all these costumes that I've made before. And I kept thinking, well, how can I reuse all this stuff? How can I make it better? How can I make it more fun for my viewers? And I'm thinking, well, I was going to do a subscriber special. Anyway, how can I touch? How can I grab what's going on in nerddom, as it were, today? Well, we got Skyrim. Well, we've got, I'm a Conan the Barbarian fan. I've got all of this armor where I used to play in the SCA. And of course, Party Rock Anthem is going on right now. So I'm going, hey, let's mix all this together, put it in a blender and say, will it blend? And hey, it came out pretty well. I thought it was rather fun. I had fun making it. Everybody seems to have a great time watching it. And then I thought, hey, if that works, let's try putting something extra on one of my songs. So Caradwin and I went out to find a couple of shooting locations, found this wonderful place for a Western theme, and went, okay, let's do this fistful of dollars thing and rewrite the freaking words to make it like Pinkie Pie was feeling sad and these bad guys caused it, and what would I do if I needed to back up Pinkie Pie? And it came off really funny, and we had that whole thing filmed in about half an hour, 40 minutes, because I kept screwing up the lines laughing. So it came out really well. I wanted to do something a little more for the latest song I just put up, which was Piano Colt by Billy Joel, but for the life of me, I couldn't find a piano bar to save my life. Couldn't find a place to do any filming.
It's hard to follow up on Billy Joel either way. The song, I think, can stand on its own. And I have to say that when I saw the subscriber special and it started off with the Skyrim references, I thought to myself, okay, this is going to be a Skyrim thing, that's fine. And then suddenly, every day I'm shuffling. And I have to point out my favorite moment is when you just get this flash of the character and he's got an arrow in his knee. That was classic.
Yeah, it's like I had to bring the arrow in the knee in there. It's like it's just like a little 3-5 second blurb, and it's like I was wondering how many people were gonna catch that. It was like all of a sudden it's like immediately, like, oh, arrow in the knee. It's like, oh yeah, it's move along, sneak thief. There you go.
Where did your character, the manliest brony, come from? Obviously, there's the series of Dos Equis ads that feature the most interesting man in the world. But where did you get the idea to be the manliest brony? Was this a title bequeathed upon you?
Caradwin actually bequeathed it upon me.
Isn't that a great word to say? Bequeathed.
Yes, bequeathed. Between the mustache and everything I do in my everyday life, between motocross and working on motorcycles and being a Harley mechanic and all this other stuff, he was just thinking, you have to be the manliest brony in the world. And my brain went, wait a minute. And within half an hour, we wrote all this stuff. And I said, what if we do this? What if we do that? What if we do this? And within the evening, it was like 6 p.m. at night, we came up with this, and then by midnight, we were done filming. And the next day, I cut it all together. It took me forever to find the freaking background music, but I found it. And threw it up as, ha 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 ha, here's a funny. And it just went freaking viral. And everybody was picking up on it. And then all of a sudden, it made My Little Brony meme base, and it made Cheeseburger, and then it made... I checked it like 2 days later, and it was on like 3 different Japanese websites. And then all of a sudden, Ghost Politics tweeted it. It's like, I got Ghost's ear? What? And I think he said that, look, the bronies are taking the testosterone or something like that. And all of his trolls came over. But everybody in the freaking world found it. In fact, I did a Google search on it like a week later, and it was like the first 5 pages of Google. I went, oh my goodness, what the heck? I'm a meme.
How does it feel to be a meme?
It feels wonderful.
How does it feel to be bequeathed memedom? I just wanted to say it again. I just wanted to say that word again.
It's amazing, actually, because the video gets like 250 views a day. Even now, it's like at least 250 views a day. And it's like, okay, well, where did it get to this time? I don't even know anymore. It just keeps going and going. So I did a new Manliest Brony. And of course, the Dos Equis man did a series of the most interesting man in the world on a subject. So we were going out to Pinnacles National Forest for a hike, and it's like, oh, let's just take some really great epic shots. And we did that, and I said, okay, well, the manliest brony in the world on exercise. And it's just basically us traipsing around, rock hopping, and doing some climbing and some other stuff. And you just say, well, it's like, why go to the gym when you can do this? And that one hit fairly well. All my subscribers love it. We might actually go on with that one. We might do some more manliest brony in the world. So stay tuned. There's probably more coming.
Well, one other thing that I noticed, and I really wish that EFR had seen this when you first put it out, it was in a video from January where you had noticed our 80s event, and you said, hey guys, is there a song you'd like me to do for EFR's 80s event? I think that our fans would still like to hear that. Did you have any ideas at the time?
Actually, I have many ideas still. I got really busy and I could not do the song, and I was like, oh dang, I missed it. I mean, I was really upset that I missed it because I really wanted to do something. The 80s is my era, and I was going, oh, what can I do, but most of what I grew up with in the 80s was hair metal, and all of that was like high soprano love song or screaming. So I'm thinking, okay, what 80s song can I do? And I kept thinking of maybe some country 80s or something like that. I just haven't come up with a song yet. I've got an idea to do a song. I want to do a song. I had a list of songs I wanted to do, but none of them were within my voice range. I mean, none of them. Everything I'd love to do. But I still might do an 80s song. I'm doing 70 songs. I might as well do an 80s song. But I just haven't picked the one yet.
Well, and I should say that there's been some talk among, and this is a big spoiler, there's been some talk among the EFR staff of possibly doing a 90s week in the next couple of months. We haven't really established if that's going to happen yet. Definitely, I think any of that music from the 80s and 90s, even the late 70s, it was almost this golden age of rock and roll. And I feel like, at least from my perspective, rock has kind of slipped since then.
Well, yeah. You don't have many good lyrical bands anymore. You don't have a Queensryche. You don't have a Rush. You don't have a Bob Seger. You don't have any of these really great lyrical artists that came in and struck you deeply about what was going on at the time. You don't have a lot of the, I mean, where's your Iraq war protest song? Where's your Afghanistan war protest song? There aren't any. I don't think anyone's lyrically good enough to do it right now. It was all done about Vietnam. You have these wonderful Vietnam War protest songs that don't even sound like protest songs because they were so lyrically creative. There's a lot of great music out there, but I just haven't heard anything that grabs me by my mortal coil, if you want to call it that. Sort of like 70s and 80s music does. I mean, it just doesn't.
Is that something that you would ever be interested in working on, is creating a song like that, maybe for Pony or for something else? Is that the kind of musical project that would interest you?
I would love to do my own original song. I really would. I'd love to do it. But I know that I am not lyrically creative. It's one of those things where I keep doing these other songs and changing some lyrics around and learning some stuff. And maybe someday I'll come up with some lyrics. But there are so many wonderful artists in our fandom right now that are doing wonderfully lyrical stuff. It's blowing me in the weeds. Some of the stuff that's come out, oh man. There was an orchestral show tune about Luna that came out only like a month ago. I wanted the whole musical done. I wanted a full musical with costumes. I wanted background. I wanted an entire soundtrack to this thing. I wanted Lion King on Broadway. That's what I wanted from this guy's one song. And I'm going, how can we make this happen? I need to win the lotto right now.
How do we turn the internet into monies?
That is the $67 million question. How do you turn the internet into money? Really?
I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I really wish I knew. Before we moved on to other things, I wanted to bring up your co-conspirator, Carduin. You've mentioned him a few times. How did you guys start working together on all this?
Carduin, yes. Basically, we started working together after I did some songs, and he's very good at piano and lyrically. Very creative. He's a writer. So when I was stuck on some lyrics, I said, dude, can you help me with this lyric? And he would basically rewrite the whole song. I was like, oh, okay, awesome. This is much better than I've ever come up with. And actually wrote a couple of songs that we've done together and did some organ background for one of the songs I did. And we've actually been friends for 20 years. We've met in other fandoms when I was living in other places. Finally came to the Bay Area, and we've been hanging out ever since. When he got me into ponies and I started doing the singing, we naturally just started working together on different projects. And I really couldn't do it without him. He does a lot of the camera work and helps me a lot lyrically.
Well, are we ever going to see him in front of the camera?
That will be entirely up to him.
Ah. Well, and Carduin's going to be working with you on your new show. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes! The new show. I was approached by these wonderful people called EverFree Radio.
Who the hell are they?
I don't know. Who are they? But they said, Dusty, hey, do you want to, like, have your own show? And I went, squee! Sure, why not? So, my new show, which is going to start on April 2nd, is going to be called Stay Brony, My Friends, with DustyKatt. So, we're going to yuck it up, we're going to have some fun, and my very first guest is going to be Denotive.
Which I love his work. He's an amazing,
Isn't he
amazing musician.
Amazing
He's
musician.
really becoming popular.
You think?
I think so. I'm sorry, I had to say it.
We're going to have Denotive in an interview, and I'm going to have something special for all you bronies out there. Something special I got up my sleeve, so don't miss it.
Something perhaps videophonic? Is videophonic even a word?
You know what? It's gonna be videophonic. It's gonna be videophonic, and you know what? It just might be manly.
My God. That's going to be amazing. So yeah, Monday the 2nd, and it's going to be on which channel?
It's gonna be on EverFree Radio, of course.
Oh my God. Everybody listening, tune into EverFreeRadio.com, where we are going to be posting updates about Dusty's show, which is going to air once a week on Mondays, isn't it?
Once a week on Mondays.
What time is it airing?
It's gonna air at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific.
So everyone tune in. Otherwise, the manliest brownie in the world may just be disappointed in you, and you wouldn't like that.
No, we wouldn't want to make me disappointed now, would we?
All right, well, I wanted to thank you for joining us today. I mean, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. You've had a real positive impact on the fandom, and I know that a lot of people really enjoyed hearing what you had to say about your take on the fandom. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. I just like entertaining people. As long as people continue to be entertained with what I do, I'll be sticking around.
Well, and there's one last question I really should ask before we completely sign out here, which is really important. What bike do you ride?
Ooh, a loaded question. I've had many different motorcycles in my life. Right now, I ride a 2002 Triumph Tiger. That is a dual sport street bike. And I also race a Yamaha 426F motocross bike. So I do race motocross in my spare time. Plus, I ride my street bike whenever I get the chance, which is right now is back and forth to work. But as soon as the snow goes away, I'll be back up in Lake Tahoe, running around the lake and around all those twisty, curvy, beautiful roads and having a great time. Maybe I'll even make a manly video about it. Stay tuned.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, well, this has been Final Draft, and I've been speaking with Renaissance Brony and biker extraordinaire DustyKatt. Again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and you know what? You'll have me every Monday now.
Oh, God. What have we done?
What have you done?
All right, everybody, stay tuned.
And stay brony, my friends.